Hello there. This is Dr. Kent Gregory, and welcome to Chapter 3, Part 1 of Human Resource Management. And in this chapter, we're going to talk about diversity and multiculturalism. So, diversity and multiculturalism terms are different, although they're often used the same way and interchangeably. So, diversity really focuses on the differences between people, such as race, gender, sexual orientation, religion, background, and of course, socioeconomic status. And the focus in terms of diversity is really more on legal compliance and then also the internal policies of the company. Whereas multiculturalism is a much more nuanced concept. So it goes deeper than diversity, and it focuses on inclusiveness, understanding, and respect. It looks at unequal power in society or unequal influence in society, and it looks at systems of advantage based on race, gender, and orientation called power and privilege. So those are the differences between diversity and multiculturalism. But then why do this? Why should a company be interested in diversity and multiculturalism? And why should, by extension, should the human resource department be concerned or interested in that? Well, one, it's the law, right? So that's pretty basic there. Two, you could better serve customers because by having a more diverse employee population, you're able to, to maybe correctly address or correctly understand uh, the your customer or client base. You can better communicate not only within the organization but outside of the organization. And then by having a diversity, and I use the term with small d, but a diversity of ideas and backgrounds, you can create better solutions and ideas because people will be approaching the issue, whether that's a problem or a strategy, from different perspectives. And that gives you a more complete view of the issue itself. And then studies have shown that companies with more diversity report higher sales revenues. So that could be related to the fact that you're able to, better serve a wider customer base. Could also be directly related to the fact that you're able to create better solutions and ideas because you're getting input from people with a variety of backgrounds. The other thing that I would point out, and the book doesn't really talk about this, is a much more um, less objective way of looking at it, but it makes a company more interesting and more fun to work for because you're having people who are different from you, from different backgrounds, different cultures, who come from different nations in many cases, and it's just much more interesting and pleasant to work in an environment like that. So some key takeaways. So diversity is the real or perceived differences between individuals and can include race, gender, sexual orientation, size, cultural background, and much more. Multiculturalism focuses on the development of a greater understanding of how power in society can be unequal, right? Unequal due to race, gender, sexual orientation, and privilege, as well as some other things like national background, cultural background. Power and privilege is a system of advantages based on one's race, gender, and sexual orientation. And the book does a good job of pointing out that this can also be often be invisible to those who have it, uh, which results in one race or gender having unequal power in the workplace. Um, and then diversity is important to the success of organizations. Um, and then diversity plans. So many companies, in fact, I would say most publicly traded companies and certainly universities and colleges, for example, Hanover College has one, have formal diversity policies, such as Zappos. So Zappos This is their diversity policy statement. So the diversity of Zappo's employees is a tremendous asset. We are firmly committed to providing equal opportunity in all aspects of employment and will not tolerate any illegal discrimination or harassment. Examples of such behavior include derogatory comments based on racial or ethnic characteristics and unwelcome sexual advantages. Please refer to the applicable sections of the employee handbook for further guidance. Um, so the main steps to the creation of a diversity plan is first you have to assess the level of diversity in your employee population. Then there's the development of the diversity plan proper, and then the implementation of that plan. So considerations for diversity plans with respect to how they would manifest themselves in terms of HR functions would be diversity in your recruitment and selection, uh, testing. So testing so the often tests are required of applicants, but then there are ongoing testings certainly after employees are have been there in the company. Pay, and then promotion. So this wraps up part one, and we'll continue on with part two just next. And that deals with, what next and the various implications of diversity and multiculturalism.